played Martin with him having a full setup of queens. I have played him with having a bigger setup of queens, and I've played him with just a king and a queen. Now I'm playing him with just a king and a rook. I have already played him actually, and now we're going to go into a game review.
So White stayed sharp and
right.
This is the way to win a rook.
I start with taking a pawn, completely blundering my rook, but he's Martin, so he doesn't find it. Obviously, I knew that it was a blunder, but I also knew he wouldn't find it, and he didn't. I don't know why the computer says it's best. I don't know what engine it's using, but obviously, the best is just to take my rook. Let's see what it says. Show tactic. I'm not sure exactly why it says that, because he could just take my rook and immediately win the game. It's not stalemate or anything like that. He could just take my rook. I don't know what the computer's saying. He goes e5, and now obviously I take the rook. And so chances are he moves his knight to a6, something like that, try to trap my rook, and he does exactly that. No, I don't know why is best. Okay, maybe because it's check, but why is this a good move? He just completely blundered his knight again. Maybe it's because he has a lot of material, so the computer doesn't care about a knight. I'm not sure. But I take, and I can't take his bishop because his queen is defending it. So he stays with his queen defending it. He doesn't move his queen, obviously. How is that excellent? You blundered a bishop with check, and now I also get your pawn. And why is best? Okay, I guess best is putting his queen there, because I still can't take, or else he takes back, and then I just lose. But fine. He goes there, I take the pawn. He goes queen f4, which I see why it's not a terrible move, but I probably would have done something to defend the pawn. So since he didn't defend it, I take, which is best. He pushes, trying to promote that pawn. If he does, I'll still probably win because he's Martin. So now I'm going to play what the computer calls an inaccuracy, and I had one reason and one reason only for playing it. And that reason is because this is Martin. Martin is a terrible chess bot. Now, the computer's saying he had mate in 2, which is obviously true. He had there, but Martin only finds mates in 1. He doesn't consider mate in 2, but he still did take the rook, which ends the game right then and there. What? Okay. He just completely blunders his queen. I don't know how they only saw it as a miss. I guess because he missed checkmate, but he still blundered his queen. So I don't know what happened. Fine. So just like that, I'm already down. I've already got him to only plus 11 points of material. He moves his pawn. I'm gonna threaten that pawn. I can't have it getting past. And to promotion. He pushes, and now I take with check. So far, now I'm only down 10 points of material. I started with down 33. So I'd say I'm doing pretty well for myself. He moves his king, and now I'll just threaten his pawn. Try to take down the rest of his pawns, because those are really what the position comes to. So I threaten his pawn, and obviously he goes knight f6 to defend the pawn, or d6 to defend the pawn. No. So I'm going to take free pawn. I'm also threatening the f6 pawn with check. So a good move would probably be something like king e6, attack my rook, defend the pawn. I would have no checks or anything like that, and I would be forced to move my rook away. So, of course, he does that. So the computer says a better move is king g6, because I guess it hides the king behind the pawns a little bit better, as well as defending his pawn. That's fine. I still take, obviously, because he didn't defend his pawn. And now it's only 8 points of material. He's only at plus 8. The stupidest thing happens, right? His bishop's in a good position, right? We said before, when he moved his bishop there, it was a fine move, right? And yeah, it was a fine move. So, but then he moved it back when my rook was right there. His bishop was fine, and he just had to move it to the one place where my rook could kill it. I take, obviously, and he goes knight h6. Fine. So that was not a bad move at all. Developing the knight, obviously a more active square would have been f6, but it's still development. I realize I probably have to bring my king in, but first I go to d7. The computer would prefer c7. I don't know if it's much of a difference, but my plan is to try to skewer the king into letting me win a pawn. He puts his king on f5, and I continue with my plan of check, but unfortunately he does not blunder the pawn. So I start to bring my king into the game, king f2, and he puts his knight back on g8. Why? I don't... It's really confusing. Blocking his rook, first of all, and undeveloping his knight. So I continue bringing my king, and king f7, and now I win a pawn. Fairly simple. I'm not threatening that pawn, and even if I were to bring my king all around, it wouldn't actually work because I still can't trade. It would end up with a draw, and I promised you guys I was going to win. So, rook h7, which is a fine move. I bring my king a little higher to get it into the center, into the middle of the game, and he pushes his pawn, which is fair. Passed pawn. I guess all of his pawns were passed pawns because I didn't start with any pawns. So yeah, now I go rook g1 just in case he decides to keep pushing it. I can go rook h1, and it would be very, very hard for him to remove me from the position. So as a matter of fact, he does push again and totally does not blunder his knight. Incorrect. He completely blundered his knight, and I take it. Okay, down to just -1 point of material. Obviously, though, I still can't trade rooks and just take the pawn, because that would still be a draw. I have to hope for him to blunder his pawn through skewer, maybe rook a8 and then rook a7, something like that. But that wouldn't work anyways because he went king e6. I go rook g4, and now I realize I have to get my rook back on g1 in case he pushes again. I have to be there to stop him from promoting, because if he promotes, this game is practically over for me. He goes king f7. By the way, if you look at the evaluation bar, we are now at exactly tied. And so now indeed I do block the pawn from promoting, and he pushes. Now, here's something that the computer calls a blunder, that just like with the rook move that won the queen, I call it playing a 250 that is overrated. Everyone knows, of course, that all of the bots are overrated. I've seen a 100 beat the Jimmy bot, which is rated 600. So if I were to give Martin a rating, I'd say 25. So I took the pawn, knowing fully well that this could lose me the game, but either way, the worst it can give me was a draw, because Martin probably does not know how to checkmate, which is king and a rook. If you don't know how to checkmate, which is a king and a rook, put it in the comments below. If that comment gets a fair amount of likes, I will make that my next video. So the game ended for me when Martin took. No, he blunders his rook back. Now I have forced mate in 7. Obviously, I know how to king mate, a king and rook mate, so I do just that, and the game ended very, very well. And subscribe, put in the comments what you want me to do next, and if this video, no, if you watched to the end, text me on chess.com the letter D, and the first one to do it will be in a game with me for a chess.com membership. Make sure to subscribe. See you.